That, Chris, you're really touching on why this is my calling. In a sense, we talked about it, and you can imagine I couldn't do the professional world anymore. I had to follow this because everybody needs to know this. Everybody needs to know these tools and techniques, and everybody can do it.
Hello, everyone. This is Chris and Lizzo.
We are a brother-sister team.
And on behalf of the Charcot-Marie-Tooth Association, a.k.a. CMTA, we are coming at you.
Coming at you from coast to coast. I'm in California, and Chris lives in Green Mountain State of Vermont. Vermont.
Oui. This is another episode of our podcast named what, Lizzo?
CMT for me. CMT, the number 4, me.
That's right, folks. CMT for me, a community-focused podcast dedicated to those with CMT, giving them a voice in the community to share their stories, good or bad, successes, challenges, and much, much more.
Hey, Chriso, did you have a good weekend? Hello? What are you doing, dude? Hello? Is that meditation?
Lizzo, I'm meditating. I'm trying to meditate.
When?
Dude.
Since when?
What do you mean? I meditate all the time. I just go to my silent place.
What?
You know, I'm a great meditator.
You don't have a silent place. You can't even stay inside for 5 minutes without running around all over.
Well, that's why I'm trying to meditate, to chill out.
I don't know. Our next guest is going to have to help you because.
But don't you just cross your legs and arms and just go?
Yeah, that's it. That's what it's all about.
That's it. That's
Did
meditation.
That help you?
I mastered it. See, one more thing I mastered, folks, quickly. I am quick.
Did that help you? Do you feel all calm now and peaceful?
Totally. Yeah, I'm ready to do the podcast now. I'm good.
Did that for like 20 seconds?
Yeah, exactly. All right, Liz, so who do we have today? I know I referenced that it's a podcast for people with CMT. We don't always have people with CMT in our podcast, but we bring in a lot of different folks that can interact with the community, provide great feedback, and I'm really fired up about this next speaker.
Me too, because he's going to help you with your meditation, among other issues that you may be carrying around on your shoulders.
Exactly. Thank you.
So I'd like to introduce Arda Ozdemir.
Woo!
He's a spiritual mentor.
He's awesome.
Executive life coach. He's written several books. The latest is The Art of Becoming Unstuck. He is the founder of Rise to Realize Coaching School, Ask Arda. And Ask Arda is actually a live coaching platform, which is launching in the middle of May. And so when this comes out, it'll be in progress. Welcome, Arda.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being on our podcast today. So really excited. That's good. You look very happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you.
He usually looks happy. Even his pictures are all happy and everything. How do you get so happy?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I do what I love and everything kind of comes along with that, which is my calling in life. So just following that and always a blissful journey when you find.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I thought of something, right? So when we spoke, you said you used to be in finance. Yeah. And then you found your calling. Just tell us a little bit about that's a major transition. I mean, what was going on at the time and how'd you end up where you are today?
Yeah, I was in the corporate world as a finance executive. My professional career was about 20 years, 20 painful years, I will call. And those painful years over time had a big tax on my health. So towards the end of my career, I was just suffering all sorts of physical health, sinus infections, bronchitis, pneumonia, laryngitis. So I had to seek for help. Through that help and support, different people, different teachers, I found my way to what I'm doing today, helping people realize their full potential in their lives.
Wait, how did you even realize you were unhappy? Because a lot of people just go on. They feel like they don't have a choice, right? And they just go on and on and on. They retire from a job they've hated.
Yeah, I don't think it was extra intelligence for me to figure out how miserable my life was. I was anxious. I'm still a little anxious person after all these years of meditation, Chris. I can share some notes with you. But the thing is, in addition to anxiety, I was depressed. I lost the meaning of life. On top of that, all this health issues start to pop up in my life. So I said, I cannot take pills. I cannot go to medication. I cannot go to a therapist, a typical therapist. I need something who can tell me. I need someone who can tell me what's wrong with me. That's how I started the journey. And the more intuitive healers and alternative mental health counselors, they started to telling me about who I am, who I was. And it was, that's kind of how everything started to unfold.
There's that connection, how stress or anxiety, how it can have a physical effect on your body and your health.
Absolutely. Right? I'm a true believer because, people talk about mind-body connection, right? And Elizabeth knows this very well from her work, her personal work. But Chris, just like mind-body connection, and the mind bogs down into negative thoughts, and that it runs that survival fight or flight system. So you're always in that fight or flight system, and your energy keeps getting drained. And that is what's reflected in the body as a dis-ease, right? Not being at ease, dis-ease, illness, and all sorts of complications.
So when you say fight or flight, you mean like we're chronically stressed and we're like living like our ancestors? Like we think there's like our ancestors, they used to be like, oh my God, am I going to get eaten? There's a predator around, and they're always in that state, and then they'd relax and in that state. But now we don't have lions walking around or big mammoths or whatever, right?
Yeah. In those ancient times, lions, yes, we ran away from panthers and lions and elephants and mammoths, whatever you can imagine. The thing is, it's not that lion because our ancestors in those times, in those stone ages or ancient times, they ran away and they released the stress.
Okay.
Okay. But the survival turned into today's survival, which is, am I going to be successful? Am I going to make enough money? Am I going to have a roof over my head? Am I going to be able to feed my kids? Am I going to be able to find the right doctor? Am I going to be able to go to the right school? And my kids and my spouse, all these things are unknown, right? So that's what creates the stress. And we have all these repressed feelings and repressed fears, and they are just popping up as a stress. And we don't know how to deal with it because we cannot discharge them physically. We keep sitting at our desk.
When you say repress, because Chris bikes a lot, but that doesn't work. He still has a lot of stress and everything. It probably does a little bit.
It does.
But what is it, a repressed feeling and what do you mean? How does that relate to the fight or flight response?
So think about that everything. First, we need to set our minds on a, kind of a common perspective. Let's agree or even ask the question, what if everything that is happening to us today is part of a pattern, part of a life pattern that has origins in our past experiences? So from that perspective, when we're talking about stress, when we don't understand the stress, when we are not aware of why we are stressing, bike rides help a lot, but it doesn't release what we carry with us as a repressed feeling, as a repressed fear. Let me give you an example. Let's say Chris was Chris, can I use you as an example?
Of course you can. Yeah, I love when people talk about me. So it's
I figure. Just teasing. So let's say Chris was an A student, A+++ student. Okay. Every time he nails the exam, comes home, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Chris, your dad never asks you about your grades. Nobody acknowledges your efforts. Nobody says good things about your grades, your performance. And you start to develop something like, I am not good enough, or I am not seen. I am not appreciated. I am not worth, because my parents are not paying attention to me. They are dismissing my existence.
Right.
So as a kid, you don't understand that repressed feeling. You just bury it under and you nail the next exam. You get another A in the hope to get recognized, to get seen, to get appreciated by your parents.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that you're not aware of what's happening. You put them inside, and I call them sandbags, because I'm going to give you a hot air balloon analogy to go with that. But these are the blockages. These are repressed feelings, and you carry them with you. So now you're at your professional job, and you're basically moving mountains. You are just nailing all these projects down, and you are so successful, but you never get a word from your boss.
Right.
And you doubt, oh my God, is my work at risk? What am I doing wrong? You start to feel imposter syndrome, all sorts of things.
And also maybe keep trying harder and harder to get that recognition that he wants, right?
Yeah, right.
From childhood, right?
Exactly. Without becoming aware of what you're carrying, and without understanding how that affects your life, you keep repeating the same. As if you are preparing for the exam, you nail another project. It's another A++. Everybody recognizes you, maybe your colleagues and everybody else, but not your boss.
Well, I can tell you what, I hope my employer is not going to listen to this podcast, because I'm going to quit tomorrow. So I'm resigning tomorrow, folks. No.
Done.
So Arda, a question, and getting back to folks with CMT, what I think about, and I wanted your opinion on this. There's individuals with or without CMT, but tend to worry a lot. And I read this book called Why We Sleep, which is a scientific analysis of the importance of sleep. And in the absence of that, the impact it may have on your health. So, and I'll tell you the honest truth, with some things that recently went on with our company being acquired, like the last 3 months, I felt terrible. I would wake up I never used to, I was pretty religious, could get 8 hours of sleep, but I had all these thoughts going on in my mind, and I'd wake up at 1, 2 in the morning. I'd look over at my phone thinking it's going to be 7 in the morning, and now it's 2:15. Then it's 2:45. Then it's 3. It was just terrible. You know, I think about, right, Lizzo, people we've interviewed that go through this, geez, am I going to be okay? And their mind's racing and they have these thoughts. So how should someone try to manage through that type of situation? And what can they do? Or what would be your suggestions for someone who's waking up all the time and their minds are racing? Is the surgery I'm going to have on my feet going to be okay? Am I ever going to get better? And I just find the lack of sleep can have such a big impact on the health.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So going back to what I was talking about is repressed feeling. We need to become aware of that stress and understand why we are getting stressed. Why are we being anxious? Why are we being traumatized? Yes, these are people with CMT or without CMT. People stress about everything. We have excessive worry, which we call anxiety, about everything that we do not know.
Oh,
and we cannot, unknown,
right.
The stress of the unknown. And going back to that hot air balloon analogy and how that those sandbags, the blockages, the repressed fears, our character, our formed character through our upbringing, I call it conditioned self, that has a life conditioning, okay, with bunch of sandbags, with bunch of repressed feelings. And as you can imagine, in a hot air balloon, it drags you down into that stress, into those dark thoughts. And we don't know how to process it. And that's why you wake up in the middle of the night. That's why you have excessive, uncontrollable worry, anxiety, uncontrollable emotional reactions on life situations, on your own situation. Again, whether you have CMT or not.
So let's take somebody with CMT. Okay.
Yes.
I feel like, well, it's normal and quote unquote normal, because there's no normal, for somebody with CMT to worry about a cramp or something because they may be worried that it's going to progress, right? Or they're going to not be able to use their hands at some time. So this didn't really come from childhood. It came from the physical disease. Yes. So you wake up and oh my God, am I going to be able to use my hands tomorrow? I'm getting a cramp. What does that mean? So is that the same thing that you're talking about?
Yeah. And Lisa, one more thing I'll say is even the fact which you heard, it's okay, I need to go to this doctor's appointment and how am I going to get there? And it's this whole really leading up to that situation, which can be very stressful for individuals.
Very stressful, very stressful. And I'm not sure, without speaking to individuals, whether it's childhood related or not, in terms of the repressed fears, repressed feelings, those blockages, and what causes the emotional reactions. We can have a general comment here where some of these emotions might have been originated from the way they grew up. Mm-hmm. And again, I want to emphasize that we all fear from the unknown. We all fear from the future that we don't know what is going to happen. So what is missing here? Lizo, Chris, what is missing here? If we don't know what's in the future, and that causes us excessive worry, what do we need, you think?
To live in the now, to live right now?
To live in the now. And in order to live in the now, you want to start developing trust. We all lack trust. The way we're going to build trust is again back to that awareness of what am I worried about? And these could be, like Chris, you said, very, very simple. No, I wouldn't say simple, complicated, but it is day-to-day complications, semantics and logistics.
Yeah. Right? And one thing you just said is, which I didn't do in that situation, and there may be others that didn't do this as well, but it's that awareness. I'm serious. Over a 3-month period, I never sat back and said, wait a minute, why am I stressed? I never did that. So I would imagine, right, it takes some thought and skill to be thinking that way.
Yes.
That's awesome. You just said that, because it's like,
no, but I'm serious. Really I didn't think about that at all. So
it seems like it's so easy, but it's not.
It's not. It's a simple question. What you just said, asking why are you stressed, seems very straightforward, but I think a lot of folks don't do it.
Yeah, we don't do it. We are not accustomed. And I call them life skills in a sense, because I think these life skills will bring more and more self-knowledge to the surface. And that self-knowledge is so valuable for us on our way to healing.
Yeah.
And in the art of becoming unstuck, the first assignment is all about becoming aware of your emotional reactions. Just, you're anxious? Take a note of it. You're worried? Right. Take a note of it. You're angry? Take a note of it. You are sad? Take a note of it. And maybe have a nice little notebook and keep writing. And I call it daily review at the end of your day. Mm-hmm. Bring out your notebook, just write a few things that will reflect some insights on your emotional reactions of the day.
No, it's a great process. I just write on my sheet every day. I'm awesome. I'm so great. I crushed it today. I'm at the top. I'm never second. I'm first.
See, now those affirmations don't really work. Just to let you know.
No, one thing that we talked about, Lizzo, when you're exposed to, say, something traumatic, or as an example, you're exposed to, boy, I went to the doctors today and I was diagnosed with CMT. We've heard from some of our individuals that talk about kind of what they went through. And then I'm always so impressed when they come back towards the end and they say, hey, yeah, I wish I didn't have CMT or I received that diagnosis, but it made me the person I am today. And I wouldn't change that. So I'm always wondering, and I think, Arda, you reference, it's like that grieving life cycle. And what is that all about? Could you tell our listeners about that? Because I'm sure some of our listeners question why they're feeling that way. And, or maybe there's someone who's just being exposed to having CMT today and they're feeling like, I'm so different when I'm feeling these emotions. But it sounds like there's a life cycle. It's very common.
Yes, very common. It's a grief cycle. The key here, I want to start off with the most important concept, which is your emotions, your feelings are not negotiable. Okay, period. So whatever you're feeling, anger, sadness, anxiety, worry, they are all legitimate. They are all real. You're feeling inside, maybe not good enough. We talked about it, not recognized, dismissed and lonely and completely ignored and not appreciated. Those feelings are real and they are yours and they are not negotiable. So this key concept helps you go through this grief cycle. When you first learn about that you have CMT, what was the experience like? I'm inviting everybody to go back to that moment. Maybe it is painful. I understand that. But I'm asking and inviting gently and kindly to go back to that moment. Because again, no one can imagine how it was like for you, right? But you can experience that and you can feel maybe the shock, maybe the trauma. So that is the first stage of grieving process.
It might not be just the individual with CMT, but it also could be the parents who just learned their child has CMT, right? It could be any number of people, right?
Everyone involved, somebody with the CMT, just learning and friends and people obviously reflect on your pain. A lot of people will be, oh my God. And immediately after that shock, sometimes, and I'm sure there will be some of you who will deny that. No, that's not true. That could be a stage that some people go through. Chris, Elizabeth, right after that, when you are diagnosed, you start to feel angry. You start to feel that anger that is bubbling up. You will be like, you want to cry, like you want to scream and scream from the top of your lungs and say, why me? So after denial, it slowly goes into the anger stage. And again, I love working one-on-ones, and we build this coaching platform and 5-step power process. I love working with people to understand their intimate feelings. This will be like, I'm dying to ask some of your listeners, like, what did you go through? And I'm inviting everybody to reflect on that. Did you feel the shock? And where did you feel the shock in your body? Sometimes it's just like a little cramp in the stomach, a little punch in the stomach. Sometimes you feel this hollow feeling in the lower belly. Very important to really feel that. And then you can inhale and exhale to ease the pain. And whenever you feel the anger, I bet that anger will show up in your body in that spot where you felt the shock, where you felt the punch, where you felt that contraction. And that's kind of like how we start the process. Maybe I'm giving you also the solution, but we can walk through the grieving process as well, one by one, and look at some of the 5-step power process tools and techniques that will help your listeners a lot.
Right. And what happens after anger? You said anger, then do you experience sadness next?
Yes, you got it. You got it. Because after anger, you basically exert your energy. Like when you're angry, like you want to fight, right? So you start to feel that, oh, I want to fight this. I want to, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the fists are up and then you're just like screaming and like, I'm going to fight this. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, it's here, right? It's here. So then you sit down, you almost like collapse. If you can visualize it, someone going through that stage, sadness comes in.
So yeah, even after living years and years and years, maybe you don't even know you're angry, but everything has a shadow or a negative tone. Like this damn disease, I can't do this and I can't do that. And I totally get that. And you get so angry. It seems like it's impossible to let that go, but a lot of our guests do. I don't know how they do it. How do you let it go?
So they switch that fight and sadness into acceptance And through the acceptance, they start to bring their inner strength into their lives. After acceptance, I call it new beginnings, because you had life, a certain flow, and you got diagnosed. Now you have a new life, a different life. After going through the grieving process, you have a new life, a new beginning, because your energy will be different after processing that anger and sadness.
Liz, so I think of this Victoria, right, who lives in Edmonton. It's pretty interesting that she was very shocked, very upset, really angry, right? And I'm sure there was a sadness component. And as she worked through that, then she took action and she's like, I'm setting up a support group.
Exactly.
And it was
empowerment.
Empowerment. She's like, I'm going to make a difference. And how can I help other people, which was pretty cool. And then I just think of, as you just said, some of those stages. A friend of mine, unfortunately, 3 weeks ago, his wife passed in her 50s, and he has 2 boys. And I went biking with this good friend of mine, and I asked how his son was doing, one of the sons. And he says, boy, when he found out, he was obviously very surprised. But then he's just so mad. He's just so mad. And like, this is not fair. I cannot believe that happened to her. And life is terrible. So he's trying to coach his son on, I understand how you feel, but he's going through those stages right now, his son.
Chris, 100%. You're exactly describing the grief process. And I feel that shock, the initial shock is very important for everyone with CMT to process and release.
Yeah.
Another question we get a lot, people with CMT, a lot of times their hands are curled, or they have braces on, or they may have scoliosis and back issues. And they feel embarrassed about going out. Their legs are skinny because of loss of muscle. They don't want to wear shorts. And how do you get over like going out into the public and feeling so different and people are staring at you? And that brings up a lot of anger for me. I mean, when I see that happening.
Yeah.
Like, so what? It's a difference. Like, but the person often feels like targeted because
are they going to be accepted or right?
Accepted and loved and liked for who they are, and a whole host of dating issues.
Exactly. So one of our strategies to process these repressed feelings and these challenges, these emotional reactions, is doing the opposite. However, someone may not wear shorts right off the bed, right? So someone might do something out of their comfort zone just to adjust themselves into that challenge.
In a playful way, kind of, maybe.
A very playful way. Exactly. But once you process your anger and sadness, and once you really are over that shock, and once you actually slowly getting into that acceptance stage, that's when everything turns into more playful exploration. What does life have for me?
How can you get over feeling less than, though? You feel like a lot of people with physical issues and stuff feel less than, when it doesn't have to be that way. Because there's no normal, right?
Who's that? Yeah, who's that physicist? Stephen Hawking, right? Hawking's. So he reminds me of the self-worth that someone feels is not external appearance, and it is not created by external validation. Does he feel the smartest?
He is.
Does he know his subject?
Absolutely.
And he goes out there and shares it. So we all have some innate gift, but our focus is, I have CMT. I am doomed. Everybody's excluding me. I am different than others. What is that effort? That effort is trying to be normal and going back to the society. But look at all these people who blaze their own trail.
Yeah, that's true.
They embraced their uniqueness and created something out of that, out of their inner gifts, the innate gifts, out of their own character, own uniqueness. So acceptance is important. I'm going to go back and back, always get back to that until we touch that acceptance. None of these things are available to us.
Talk a little bit about being a parent of a child with CMT or a recently diagnosed child. And I don't know what type of advice you could give someone. They probably go through a grieving cycle. And as a parent, you always want to be strong and there. And I know there's been some parents that have emailed us, et cetera, that it's very, very challenging. And they want to do the right thing. And they eventually do, but it's very taxing.
Well, can I just add also because they feel guilty? So not everyone. Some people who pass kids to their kids, they feel guilty. And the other thing for a parent who doesn't know about CMT and has a child, your dreams are broken. Like you have dreams for your kids, you got to let that go early on. Those two things are really hard.
Yeah. And I would think sometimes you can be very overprotective as well. I think that's a natural instinct, right? Yeah. So just asking if you have any insight on there, if we have a parent listening to this podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So going back to the grieving process, that is why we call it grieving process and resemble this to those stages is that the life as you know it is no longer available to you. So something drastically changing. Because of that, there is a slew of series of emotions. So I'm again encouraging everyone to own their emotions and investigate them, reflect on them, understand why you are feeling the way you're feeling. Okay, that is a self-work that anybody, including parents who feel guilty or not guilty, everybody needs to do. So after that, we have to bring our not rose-colored glasses, nor the black colored glasses. We just need to bring our neutral glasses, which is the acceptance. Okay, this is what we have in hand. And by the way, parents with guilt may see this situation as bad. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't want to do this to my kid and I feel guilty. Guess how the kid feels about that, right? So when we are approaching things, oh, this is a bad news, or this is a good news, or I had dreams and I have no longer dreams, we are going down into these low altitudes with lots of sandbags. Our hot air balloon is stuck in dark places. We need to work on our sandbags, repress feelings, release them, process them, and let the hot air balloon rise naturally, where you start to accept and ask questions. What can we do from here? What is available to us? Like your previous guest, thought about creating a support group.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
But when I sit here and think about all the things you're saying, and I think I've gotten to acceptance and go back, I don't think it's a linear process, but I still feeling like a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger. And even though I've worked on that for so long, I get into these situations and things that my son can't do, or other people, my friends can't do, or can do, or life is not fair, but it just makes me very sad too.
Lizzo, it's interesting because you actually said that to me just about 3 weeks ago when we were talking about Johan.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And Johan was diagnosed when he was how old?
7.
And he's 30. And even 3 weeks ago, you were angry.
Well, I'm like, we've been supporting the science. Why isn't research supposed to have stopped by now? What's this progression? What can we do? And you feel powerless as a parent.
Exactly. Right? Can we do a quick exercise?
Sure. Meditation. I've got it.
You got it, Chris.
All right.
So it's a little bit visualization and / guidance or guided imagery and then meditation. You can call it meditation. So we can count as a meditation credit to Chris's column.
Thank you, folks.
So I'm going to invite everybody, and Elizabeth, we can maybe use you as a little guinea pig, and I'm going to direct certain suggestions. And if you can kind of answer, maybe it will be helpful to our listeners. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Elizabeth, you mentioned about anger. Can you go back to that moment when you were like just now screaming with anger, like, why is this not solvable? Why Johan cannot do this or that? Why is he limited? Why are we limited? We've been doing research. We've been working on this for years. Why are we not having the solutions by now?
Oh, yeah. It's
right
there.
Exactly. And that anger could be for everyone. Like, why do I have this CMT? Why am I having these hands like this? Why am I having these thin legs? Why do I need to have another operation on my feet? Why can't I get to my doctor? Why this is happening to me? Okay. So everybody feel the anger. Elizabeth, feel the anger. Close your eyes and feel inward attention. And tell me, Elizabeth, where do you feel that anger in your body?
It's right here in my chest. Huge pressure.
Huge pressure. And let's take another moment for everyone to connect. And Chris, close your eyes and be with that. Do you have anger? Are you feeling, everybody, the community's pain?
Yeah.
So perfect. So Elizabeth, you're feeling it on your chest. Listeners, please go inward, close your eyes and find that pressure. Find that punch, find that contraction, find that tightness, heaviness. Elizabeth, tell me, 1 to 10, how intense is this anger? How intense?
8.
8?
Yeah.
1 to 10, 10 is very intense. 8. Elizabeth, you're feeling, and you're going back, maybe even when you heard about Johan's diagnosis. Even then, maybe you start to feel that anger. Maybe it was a little shock at the beginning, maybe huge shock. And now you're feeling the anger more and more. 8. Can you give me the color? And then
black.
Listeners, black. Very, very connected. So tell me, again, let's wait a couple of more seconds. Black, intensity 8, anger sitting as a heavy object on your chest. What is the object?
It's a bowling ball. It's like a bowling ball.
Oh my God, it's so heavy. It's so heavy. Okay, now put your feet flat on the floor. Focus on the ground first. Calm yourself down a little bit and take a deep breath into where you feel that physical tension related to anger, related to sadness, related to worry, related to anxiety. Elizabeth, take a deep breath into your chest. Hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Exhale out of your mouth, out of your body. Visualize that the bowling ball is just released from your body. We're going to do this one more time. Okay. Connect with your feet again. Connect with the ground underneath you, or maybe the chair you're sitting on, or the bed you're lying on. Take a deep breath into wherever you felt that physical sensation. Beautiful. Big breath in. Hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And big exhale out of your mouth, out of your body. Release it. You're visualizing that you're releasing this big heaviness, big tightness, contraction out of your body. Let's do one more time to make sure you release most of it. Take a deep breath in again into that bowling. Maybe it's a watermelon, maybe it's a grapefruit, maybe it's yellow, maybe it's whatever color, whatever shape, whatever size. Inhale into it. Hold it for 3 seconds again. 1, 2, and 3. And big exhale. Awesome. Now relax. Eyes closed. Focus somewhere on your body that you can feel more safe. Something that will make you feel more connected with yourself. Some people say it's their lower belly. Some people say it's their feet where they're grounding. Some people say it's their hands. Some people say if their eyes, their head, wherever you can focus on, feel some connection with your inner self. You're in the body, no longer thinking. Elizabeth, how is the intensity in your chest right now?
It's unbelievable. It's like 2.
2. And I'm so curious what your listeners who went along with this exercise are feeling right now.
Chris, how about you?
I feel great.
Chris always feels great. So that's his problem.
Yeah. Yes. No, actually,
you're right.
No, to be serious, actually, I was reflecting over the last 4 months in terms of my anger when I heard our privately held company was being sold and the stress associated with that. And for me, the pain was actually, as I was breathing, in my neck. And it felt like a dagger going into my neck.
Wow.
And as I continued to breathe and I put my feet on the floor, I actually, and I think you said that, I was able to just focus internally on just my breathing and my body and what I was feeling. And then that discomfort that I felt at the start of the exercise was completely relieved. So it was really cool. It was really impressive. Just listening to your body.
Yes.
Which I think, as you said, is kind of a form, I would think, of meditation. But I was able to, and you speaking as well helped. I mean, that really put me in the mood there, but it was very beneficial. Now, I wish I could have done that 3 months ago and did it every day, but I didn't know. That was
a possibility,
something
right?
A possibility out there.
That, Chris, you're really touching on why this is my calling. In a sense, we talked about it, and you can imagine I couldn't do the professional world anymore. I had to follow this because everybody needs to know this. Everybody needs to know this. Everybody needs to know these tools and techniques, and everybody can do it.
Arda, if somebody wanted to learn
that was awesome.
more, about your book, this is fascinating, about your work, where would they go? Where would they look?
First of all, I would say if anybody is vaguely interested in this work, they can just check out The Art of Becoming Unstuck, available on Amazon. They can just read through some of these techniques over there. But as Chris mentioned, someone else guiding has obviously more powerful and more effective results because you are just in that riding the journey. So once you read the book, The Art of Becoming Unstuck, and you don't have to read the whole book, but just maybe even halfway through, you will be exposed to so many great tools. And if they resonate, then call us or go to askarda.com to select your coach. It's a coaching platform. Every coach on that platform is trained under this 5-step power process. And we will be able to walk you through these techniques and you will start to use them immediately in your life. And that's why I call them life skills, because they are very practical, very effective, and very unique. And you take it and you use it for the rest of your life. Even one session. The other day I was having a consultation call. By the way, we have free consultation calls. You can talk to as many coaches as you like to understand where they're coming from, if they will be able to work with you, or you want to, how you connect with them. Just call them for a free 20-minute consultation and you will understand. The key here is the empowerment process, because we do not give packages. The other day I was having this consultation call and someone says, how many sessions do I need to commit? I said, none. Right. Because now, Chris, like you felt this dagger in your neck and you got the technique, right? And now you have that skill.
Well, and now I have to remember to use it.
Yes, exactly. You have to remember to use it. Exactly. So maybe, that was only 15 minutes, right? Even maybe like 5 minutes or something. This is very short. You can imagine how deep you can go in one session. And that impact can make you or remind you of when to do it and how to do it. And after the second session, if you can come back for another one in maybe a month, then second session, you basically mastering this 3x3 breath technique, which is one of our special techniques.
And in addition, if you come in once a week or once a month, in the middle, you have a lot of great meditation tools on Insight Timer. It's an app, a free app. And like the meditation that you were pretending to do, it's nothing like that.
Well, yes. Thank you for Insight Timer reference. There's a guided meditation called Regulating Emotional Reactions.
Yeah.
And it runs through this 3x3 breathing technique. It asks you the same intensity, color, and shape, and guides you through inhales and exhales for you to release. It's very powerful.
Very powerful. There's a couple of 4 or 5 that are excellent. Really
I think it's great. The exercise we just did. I mean, our listeners have an opportunity to, you just shared something really valuable.
Powerful.
I find.
Yeah.
That is cool. And I write down as we're talking here, what you had referenced before during our pre-interview was you always made a reference to positive thinking. And I had written down here the power of the mind.
Yeah.
And boy, if you can be in touch with those 2 things there in terms of positive thinking and using your mind appropriately in an effective way, I think can make a huge difference. Huge difference.
I just want to highlight something. Some of us and listeners may struggle with positive thinking in the beginning. When you have anger and when you have sadness and you haven't had a chance to process them properly, right? We're just getting the blockages out, the sandbags out through these 3x3 breath techniques, right? So when you have anger and sadness and anxiety at a very intense level, positive thinking will not last long. So let me warn anybody, any listener who is struggling with that, because negative thoughts will keep coming after you try positive thinking. But the power of mind can be taken into your own hands after you process these emotions and start to look at life from that high acceptance state. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Absolutely does.
So, Liz, I'm getting a little worried if we keep Arda on, next thing he's going to start charging us. So,
no such thing.
Well, we do have a couple questions for you, just kind of like off the cuff questions. I'll ask the first one. Arda, if you could do away with one emotion that exists in the world, what would it be?
Do away, meaning?
Like it doesn't exist anymore?
He's not going to like this because he's all about dualities and everything. He's like,
One emotion. It's just, this is a tough one because yes, I would say anxiety.
I like that answer. That's a great answer. Yeah, I would do away with that too.
Because I think everyone feels anxiety constantly. Anger comes up, goes down, joy replaces anger. Anyway, so anxiety. I'm going to stick with that answer without explanation.
Right. I like that answer. You got it. You pulled that one out.
Yeah. And now this next one is very technical.
Okay.
So if it takes a minute, what do you think of pineapple on pizza, and does it belong there?
So even though I have the answer already, because that has been my struggle, I can find answers to life, but I cannot find answers why pineapple exists on pizza. I'm aggressively opponent of pineapples wandering on the surface of pizzas. All right.
Oh boy, I don't know about this.
I know. It's just too, it's too sweet, and I like my pizza more sour. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, I love it. This was just incredible. I'll tell you, I'm walking away as a host here, just with that one exercise is something in my mind that I would like to practice. So thank you for sharing that. Seriously, it was great.
My pleasure.
It was wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So, hey, Lizzo, if someone wants to follow us on social media, where do they go?
Well, on social media, we have a Facebook page, CMT for Me, and follow us and like us and come celebrate Catterday with us.
I know. What is Catterday anyways?
It's just like we show animals. It's sort of like Pet Parade. We show animals and how they support you when you have CMT.
Okay. All right.
Supporting
Good.
animals
All
can
right.
be, so it can be dogs or horses or reptiles
Perfect.
or fish or whatever. We also have an Instagram, CMT for Me podcast. And so to all our listeners, if you have a story to share or tools that you would like to bring to the CMTA community, please reach out and contact us. You can find us at cmtausa.org.
Yep. And isn't there, what's the website?
I don't know. No, it's
Pod page, right?
It's our pod page and we can never say it. So I wanted you to say it.
Okay. www.podpage.com/CMT for me.
Right.
So,
and if you can't find any of that, just go info@cmtausa.org.
Or just call Lizzo. I'll give her mobile number out in a minute.
Not give my mobile.
Okay. I think that'd be great. She loves and you can call at any hour, 24/7. So. And also, folks, don't forget to leave us a stellar review so we can reach more individuals. And one way to leave a review is to go to Apple Podcasts or, as referenced, go to Pod Page. Leave a review there.
That's right. And you can listen to this podcast on Spotify, on Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to your podcast. And share the episodes with your friend and family. We want more listeners.
Well, folks, time to go. That was one fantastic episode. Thanks so much, Arda.
Yeah.
Adios.
Thank you, Arda. And I'm not going to say goodbye because the Buddhists don't say goodbye. According to Google, they say see you later. And that's something like amituofo.
Oh,
Does that make sense,
Nice.
Arda?
it does not, but I just want to leave everybody with the hopes of empowerment to live the life they came here to live. So I hope
Awesome.
everybody get their own full potential.
Listen, one last question. If individuals would like to get arm warmers like you are wearing, can you show our listeners what you are wearing? Where do they go to get those?
Amazon.com.
Okay, there you go, folks. See ya.
Bye.